For those that don't know me, obviously my name is Micah and I'm Ruben's sponsor. So we've known each other for several years now. And definitely awesome to work with. I have a fly that is like attacking
Yo,
me over
can you
here.
just do something? Can you flash your wrist real quick? That's all. That's all. All right, go ahead.
Hold
I'm
up.
sorry.
You guys might recognize this. So I do faithfully wear it every single day,
I
as
know.
you
I see it in your pictures. I stalk.
You suck. Awesome. So Ruben has a little part of me every single day. And anyway, so I've been with EXP for 6.5 years, agent number 333. So I've been definitely with EXP for a long time. I've seen the continued growth of it. Some like to call the original group the OGs. And it's really been fun. It's been a ride. And here's what's even more interesting. I think we've only just begun. So I had a great breakfast actually this morning with some EXP colleagues of mine that are also original early adopters, and this is really what they talked about. Is that it's not about who got in first. A lot of times agents hear, "Oh, you've been with EXP for 6.5 years, and this is why you're doing awesome." Guys, here's what the reality is: our top attractor with EXP, and again, fly like dive bombing me over here. Our top attractor with EXP has not even joined the company yet. That's the kind of model that we have. It is not a top down model. It is not a who got in first. Actually, if you guys look at the ranking, agents who have sponsored some of these top attractors like Gene Frederick and Brent Gove, those agents are doing better. So for example, Gene Frederick, had breakfast with him this morning. He's an amazing person. He's one of the top attractors, number 2 with EXP. He sponsored Rob Flick. Rob Flick is in the number 1 spot. So what does that tell us? That tells us that it's not a top down model, that every single person has the same opportunity. So to go back to my story, I started out as the managing broker, opened up the Oklahoma City market, did that for a few years, went to a regional development leadership position with EXP for a year, and then our group really started to take off. So I decided to do this full time, which is really to support and help train our agents, not only in production, but also agents that want to focus on agent attraction. Every single Friday, we do an agent attraction mastermind. We welcome everyone in our organization there. We also hired an agent support specialist. So many of you might have talked to Paige. She's done an amazing job, and she's really the one that to answer all the EXP questions and help onboard our agents. So just like anything, you have to treat this like a business. You've got to get involved. If you're truly interested in agent attraction, it has to become part of your business. It has to become part of your daily activities. So in 6.5 years, my husband has now joined me as well. I've been able to kind of retire him out of flipping properties. And between the two of us, we've attracted over 1,200 agents to EXP. And again, we've only just begun. We're working on like 6 different countries right now. So it's exciting. I think there's no better time to be with the company. It's proven its model. We've proven the success. EXP has made more millionaires than I've ever seen. But it's not just about the dollar signs. It's about the community, the great groups that we have. Even though we're a virtual brokerage, I like to think we have one of the best communities that I've ever witnessed.
I agree. I agree 100%. And what I because I'm part of the 1% EXP influencers thing, so I get that call with the U.S. President of Growth, Dave, and he says that all the time. That literally we're just beginning. There's going to be people making so much more revenue share than the people who are making it right now. I mean, to watch this thing start tipping forward and kind of be at where we're at right now, exciting. It keeps us moving forward, and there's a lot of people that we can impact and change their life through this. Because I was telling other people as well that this company will make more millionaires than any other real estate company ever. I mean, when the stock was going up, you saw just right, and that was just one example. That's not even the revenue share, right? So it's just exciting to be part of this. But for real quick, do either Mike or Daniel, do you have questions or anything you want to talk to her about?
Of course. What's up? So,
Hey, my friend.
so one of the questions I was wanted to ask you, and I think this is going to be important for everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching. Typically when we get started in real estate, we are focused on sales, on production. At what point in your career, or on what point in most agents' career from your experience, do you see them start to transition from focusing on production to focusing on agent attraction?
Great question. I want to kind of piggyback off something Ruben said just real quick. The stock alone, I have met so many agents who have really become millionaires, changed their family's tree, and it's just on the stock. They've never recruited an agent in their life. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. Michael, great question. And as a matter of fact, this is the very question I was bringing up because I get that objection a lot. Hey, I'm in production. I don't have time to attract. And that was the very objection that I actually brought up at breakfast this morning to Jean. And I said, how do you handle this? How do you handle, a lot of real estate agents are in production. So I'll give you guys kind of my course of action, and then I'm going to share with you what Jean said, which I think is even more important. So I've been a licensed agent for 12 years. I originally got in really to predominantly we flipped hundreds of properties. So got tired of paying somebody else, wanted to really just focus on our properties. We have a rental portfolio, much like you guys focused on investments. I really never had the intention of building a production team. Over time, to my surprise, I ended up building a production team. And I see some little giggles there. For me, I actually didn't enjoy it. And that's probably a whole nother conversation, but there's a reason why I dismantled my production team. I still, do production here and there, but what I do now is a referral program. So I refer it out to agents in my group. Now, with that said, that became really over time. My story is a little bit different because I got into the managing broker role. Then I got in. This fly is like driving. I'm gonna have to like move into another room.
You need a salt gun. They got
aggressive.
those, and they got salt guns, man.
He just came out of nowhere. I've been sitting here for a long time, and I swear. But anyway, so I took the broker role on, and then I went to the regional development leader position, and so that really kind of naturally got me out of production. Now, with that said, let's look at some of the top producers, right? We know Gene Frederick, right? He's not in production anymore. He's really mainly attracted. Now, with that said, he had sold off 6 Keller Williams offices in order to join EXP. Now, I won't give the dollar amount away, but he gave away a significant amount of money in order to really go all in with EXP. So we all know anything that's worth anything is going to have some risk. You got to learn how to leverage. Let's take another top attractor, Brent Gove. He's still in production today. He's a neighbor of ours here in Puerto Rico. Believe it or not, he still has his production team, but he's not running it anymore. He's now hired somebody to handle that operations. So I asked Gene this morning, I said, what about the agents? Let's say an agent that's doing well, they're hitting icon, and let's say they're making $400,000 a year, right? And so they're so focused on that, they cannot focus, because that's short-term gain. Commissions are short-term, right? You have a transaction, what happens? You got to start the cycle all over again. You become unemployed. So let's look at the long-term. He said, why don't they cut that in half? Let's hire a buyer's agent or listing specialist or whatever that is. Stop working with buyers, right? Just take on listings, hire a buyer's agent. Now cut that in half. You're going to make $200,000 a year from sales and start building the revenue share part of the model to offset that other 200,000. But it's not going to stay at 200,000. We know if you continue to grow it, that 200 is going to become 400 the following year, then 600, then $1 million, whatever that may be. Of course, it's based on production. But what's going to happen is you have to leverage. You have to make it a priority. So to answer your question, I would encourage any agent that's in production that finds that they don't have time to focus on attraction. We all have the same 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Tony Robbins is running multiple billion-dollar businesses, and he has the same time frame that we have. So that just means he's learned to leverage his time better. So that's what we're going to have to do as real estate agents. You're going to have to give up something. Sometimes we have to take a step back in order to leap forward. Hamudi and I were making $750,000 a year to $1 million a year just in flipping homes. We have really put that on the back seat. We don't do that much anymore to go all in for agent attraction, if that doesn't tell you something. And many of my other colleagues are the exact same way. So Michael, to answer your question, there's no right or wrong time. If you find that your production is stopping you from attracting real estate agents, then that just means you need to get more of your time back and you need to leverage and get some more help.
Love it. Thank you.
Daniel, go ahead if you had a question.
I don't really have a question. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Daniel Doty. I'm under Mike. I've heard a lot about you, so I'm like Pretty excited to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. Welcome to the team, Daniel.
I actually just discovered all the services you provide to us. I didn't realize that when I joined 6 months ago, and I literally just found out this week. So I just signed up for your course, and I'm looking through like your agent attraction stuff as well, and I'm pretty excited for that. I think one thing I struggle with is, I guess, the confidence that agent attracts being a newer agent. I've only been doing this for about 6 months. You got any advice for that? Kind of trying to convert somebody who's doing it for years, but like, I'm just a totally new guy.
Yeah, well, my husband got his license about a year ago. He's at 200 agents in 1 year, and he's never sold a house in his life. It all starts with your mindset. The secret sauce is your mind. So you have to build that confidence. And remember that we're not here to reinvent the wheel. EXP already offers everything. You're just a resource in offering this opportunity to other agents.
Okay, well, you just crushed everything I knew. That's awesome.
I tend to do that. Hey, I'm here to say it like it is. I'm here to say it like it is. And trust me, Daniel, there's definitely times I thought way too small. When I first joined EXP, I was like, oh, if I do $4,000 or $5,000 a month in revenue share, I'm doing good. It's an additional revenue stream. I never thought about it being my primary revenue stream. And what happened over time, it surpassed the revenues that our 50 rental properties at the time was bringing in. So that shows you the capabilities, the opportunity. I've now moved down to Puerto Rico. I was thinking too small as well. So if anything, I want to push agents to get out of that mindset, because it doesn't matter if you've been licensed a day or 10 years. Now, granted, some of these top attractors, they do have what I like to call relationship equity, right? They're coming in, they're bringing a ton of agents from all the relationships that they've had the last 10, 20, 30 years. Of course, it's who you know, but that should never stop you, because sometimes just one recruit, one agent can change your entire life. It all starts with your mindset, though.
That's a really good point. What would you say you should like really focus on? I assume I just need to learn more about EXP so I can really like teach it to others. I think that's what I'm struggling in. What would you recommend? Right. Probably the same?
Absolutely. Now, with that said, it doesn't mean you have to know anything and everything about EXP, because they're constantly adding stuff. Heck, I just found something out earlier today that I didn't even know. But you do have to understand the basics. You have to understand the value proposition. You need to understand stock. You need to understand what an icon agent is, what revenue share is, because when you don't understand those things, then you're not properly communicating it to the other person. So oftentimes what we find is somebody will join the company under somebody else because the first person that talked to him didn't sell them on the company because they didn't know how to explain icon, right? If you're talking to a top producer, Ruben's a great example of that. I explained the revenue share to him and he was sold immediately because he was explained completely wrong, if I'm not mistaken. That happens all the time. So you really, just like anything, you have to practice. Now, often I'm asked, what is the best script that I can use? It's hello. Literally just pick up the phone. Gene Frederick this morning, I shared it in our workplace group. He gave us a 5-step process, guys. It could not be more easy. It's number 1, make a list. Number 2, make the call, right? Number 3, have them watch a video. It doesn't matter what video. Personally, I like Agent Builder Pro. I like the model explained. Number 4, get them on a 3-way call with your sponsor to help close them, not to explain EXP, but to help close them. And number 5, invite them to a live event. And then rinse and repeat. It's just a numbers game, just as buyers and sellers and online lead generation. It's the exact same thing. You've got to follow up. It's absolutely no different process. I would personally like to go get an agent than a buyer or seller right now with the way that the market is.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Awesome. Ruben, anything else you would like me to touch on here?
Mike, were you about to say something?
No. I was going to pass it back to you too. Yeah.
Yeah. No. What live events would you, because I love that process. I think obviously I have no space to add something to that beautiful list. One thing I personally, for myself, I would add is patience. I think, a lot of agents jump into this and they think that it's going to happen overnight. It is a consistency compounds game. And follow-up game, at least it has for me. And again, he's done way better than I have. But I've been okay with knowing that it's going to take longer, because sometimes they're just not, they haven't been crossed by their broker in the wrong way. They haven't got a bad experience with their team just yet. And when that day comes, you are the one who stayed in contact, just asking about how their business is, saying happy birthday to their kids or whatever that is. And you mean it, right? Like, you know, you could change their whole world, but sometimes they're just not ready to meet you in that position yet. So I would add patience to that too. And just know that it could take, it just takes a little bit of patience. Would you agree to that?
Absolutely. I mean, I have agents that took me several years to bring them on, but then once they came on, they exploded. I have last week, an agent that we were talking to, we saw her daughter had open heart surgery. So we sent her daughter flowers to the hospital. Again, it's like you said, you mean it, right? You want to always lead with value and you want to change people's life. And unfortunately, they have to be open to that. So it doesn't happen overnight. And I'm the same way, Ruben. I have conversations all the time. Oh, we'll talk to agent and they went under somebody else, or, they didn't come on. Okay, move on. Who cares? Right. We all lose agents. Even the best of us lose agents. If you're expecting them to have the conversation and they join immediately, then you're going to be in for a rude awakening. It is a consistency game. But what I can tell you is, if you do it right and you consistently do it, it will bring huge rewards. Now, back to, I think, your first question about live events. Obviously, EXP has some great live events. If you have local lunch and learns, if you don't, I highly encourage you to do them. So even local events or even national events. I mean, look at Brent Gove. He has events all the time. He just had one in Cabo. He just had one in Arizona. In August, he has a Tony Robbins event that Hamudi and I are going to. If you're not going, you should be there and you should invite agents. We have a mastermind coming up also in August, the week after Brent Goves. If you're not signed up, you should be signed up and you should be bringing a guest there. So those are the type of events, because what's going to happen, and when agents and prospective agents come to these events, they're going to see our community. They're going to see our culture. And that's not something that they can be told. They have to experience it themselves.
You know, it's crazy. You invited me to an EXP con and paid for my trip.
Did it work?
I was pleasantly surprised. It was a lot of fun.
And so what you have to reinvest, and a lot of it is cutting checks for flights or hotel or events. But again, just as if you were going to go buy buyer and seller leads, you've got to reinvest back into your people.
Yeah. And that was a great segue of talking about your event in Puerto Rico. If you don't mind, what does that look like? What, who's going to be there? What are we expected to learn? Can you just touch on that before you head out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you know, Ruben and Mike were at our last mastermind, a little bit more of an intimate one in Orlando in February. We had such an amazing success that we came back and we were like, we want to do this every 6 months, bigger and better every single time. So this time around, it's in August. The dates are 23rd through the 26th. 23rd and the 26th are travel dates. So it's a 2-day conference, the 24th and the 25th, all day long. Not only are Hamudi and I going to be sharing the exact things that we do in strategies, some of our other top leaders are going to be there, and we're going to have a couple guest speakers to be announced. It is a great opportunity. So we're not here just to add another convention. What I can promise you is you're going to be applying things while you're there and really putting in the application. So for agents that are serious about agent attraction and wanting to learn more, you should be at this event. Now, I will say that prices do go up starting July 1st. So I would encourage you to go on to register. It's a 2-step registration, one for the event, one for the hotel block. And if anybody has any questions, you can just, I'll put it in the text chat here. You can email Paige at mruwatenterprises@gmail.com and she can help you.
Awesome. And then, is there anybody from the executive team going to be there?
To be announced.
All right. I figured I'd try. Mike, you want to add to that?
Yeah, all I will say is I will testify that literally that event kind of changed my entire mindset on it as well. And me and Ruben were already working on building out these systems and these models, but just spending those few days with Micah and Hamudi greatly impacted our motivation, our acceleration, everything when it came to understanding the benefits of EXP and putting them into practical application. And testimony for the group, I literally went from making roughly about $1,000 a month in rev share to over $3,000 in rev share a month since that
That's
event.
awesome.
So again, I highly recommend everybody take Mike up on this opportunity to attend for sure.
And I'm watching Ruben, Mike. I've noticed both of you, you've been regularly bringing on agents. So I know some other agents that have knocked it out of the water since that event. And I would like to say, I mean, I'm sure you got your money's worth. And you know, it's going to pay you over and over and over again.
Yeah. And it was a write-off. And I'll say this, you know, I'm just saying, and dude, I got the top.
That's how Ruben's mind thinks, by the way.
Yeah, everything's a write-off, right? Anyway, so, you know, we had a challenge there, and we kind of went into teams and stuff towards the end, and we started doing, I think something in our team, we started reaching out to people within our social media. And I reached out to someone who was constantly watching my story on Instagram, and I said, "Hey, what's up, man? Just what questions do you have?" Yep, I'm here in Orlando. What have you seen that you have questions about? End up being the top producer Remax agent in an office, and he was like, "Yep, just watching your story, whatever." Set the appointment from that event, and he came over. He came over about 2 weeks ago. Of course, do you see there was some time of talking to that person, but he came over 2 weeks ago, and great guy. Oh my gosh, his influence is off the hook. But I don't know if I would have had that conversation, you know, if it wasn't at that event. So that was huge. The second part of that is the networking. I've already brought other agents and team leads that were there into third-party validation conversations because of their experiences. And we built that relationship there, you know, and then being able to reach out to them and say, "Hey man, I've got someone who's got a similar story to yours. Would that be okay?" Like Lewis, he's probably been on 4 of my calls so far. And by the way, he's in Florida, Daniel. So Daniel's heading to Florida. But yeah, so building those relationships has been great for future conversations with people that are on their level that maybe I can't meet. And I don't know if I would have had those relationships if I didn't go to that event. So I'll just say that too.
Yeah, I think you hit a very important component there. Is a lot of times we're like, well, I'm a new agent, right? Or I haven't built a large team, or I've never been an investor, I've never been a broker. Guys, we have agents in our group that have done all of that and more, right? But it's really about connecting with each other. And as Ruben said, you know, he's asked Lewis, and I'm sure Lewis is going to ask Ruben to be on some calls if he hasn't already. So, Ruben, I think you and William Mahan had connected. Hamoudi's in Oklahoma City this week and popped into one of Williams' groups. So we really become one big family, and it's all about, you know, helping one another, not just constantly taking and saying, "Okay, can you do this for me? What can I give back to you in your group?" And so I think that's really important. And that's truly, if you look at the biggest rock stars in EXP, and Ruben, I know you're in the top 1% as well. One component that they're really, really good at is leveraging and helping one another and doing three-way calls. Do not try to close these agents yourself. Now, I'm not saying go get us on the phone call with every brand new agent. I to be honest, I get a little irritated with those. If they're already sold, then move them on through the process. But if you're talking to a top producer, broker owner, even a new agent, but they have some questions, and yes, absolutely get your sponsor. And then if they're not available, then get me involved. Get a third party validation. A lot of us try to do everything ourselves, and I think that's one of the biggest mistakes we can make.
100%. Any last questions for Micah before she goes? She's got 3 minutes.
Well, I wasn't timing, but I know you are. Right. Hey guys, I mean, it's really important. It's as simple as just make the call. Like I said, we do attraction calls every single Friday. I'd love to see everybody in the group on those masterminds. The key difference that I find is agents are just talking about wanting to do attraction, but they're never actually picking up the phone and contacting other agents. Don't be scared to talk to top producers. Don't be scared to talk to broker owners. If you truly believe EXP is the best brokerage model out there and that we can change lives, then you believe that you're not a recruiter, that you're really helping these people. And I don't care if you've been with EXP for 100 days, 1 day, or 10 years. We all have the same opportunity. You're just a resource. So Daniel, back to your point, yes, I definitely encourage everybody, learn about EXP. learn about the revenue share model. If you don't know what you get paid on what tiers and what an FLQA means, then you need to go back to the basics and you've got to learn all that. So you do need to dedicate some time, but just like any business, it doesn't come easy. As Ruben has said, it takes consistent effort. It takes follow-up, but it does pay. There's no better company, not just real estate company. I believe there's no better company. I always say EXP, besides my husband and my kids, is one of the best life decisions I've ever made.
Dang, that is straight ending it like a commercial. That was sick. I want you to see this, Micah.
I like it.
Yeah, I told Micah asked me my my goal as she's got 30 seconds before she heads out, and I was like, I want 1,000-person team, like 1,000-person, just people I pour into, finding the leaders that pushes these people. And she said, write it down and write it down every day. So I just wanted to show that 1,000, writing it down.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to ask you guys to say cheese real quick, because just like Ruben, I posted it on social media.
You ready?
Ready? Got it. Awesome. I want to thank you, Ruben, for having me on. If you guys need anything, please feel free to reach out. We actually just created a agent attraction brochure, interactive brochure. We have it in our newsletter. I saw Mike's eyebrows go up a little bit. It's in our workplace. It's in our workplace group as well. It talks about all the available benefits that we have of the Mruwat Enterprises group. It has our Mruwat calendar. So it's mruwatcalendar.com, all of the Zoom links. So if you have any questions of how you can get involved, definitely go to our Mruwat Enterprises workplace group. And Ruben, I'm going to ask you for a favor. I know that you're recording this. If you don't mind either uploading this into the Mruwat Enterprises group or sending it to Paige and allowing her to upload it, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I could do that, man. I thought it'd be pretty sick to cut little snippets out of this, you know, and just like a 2-minute video. I could absolutely do that. That'd be awesome.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You got it. See you, Micah. Hey, Micah, tag us in that picture. Tag us in that picture.
You know it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Adios. I'm saying adios because we're going to Puerto Rico, right? We gotta.
Yeah, you need to brush up on your Espanol. All right, see you guys.
All right, bye.